All right, should we talk about Juwan Howard?
Yeah, let's do it.
What is there to talk about, I guess, that hasn't already been said a million
Oof.
times?
I think what we have to say, what's the one thing that hasn't been said? The melee in Madison. That is the one thing that has not
Jim
been
throws
said.
it up in caps.
Yeah, and that's
Is that where we're going with the melee? What about Madison melee?
No.
No, that sounds like a
girl
porn,
that went.
That sounds
to
like a porn
Wisconsin.
star.
Yeah.
Madison melee. It does sound- the melee in Madison makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
What's your take? Who's wrong? Who's the one person that's most at fault? Who?
Man, this is like this is the after school version of this, but like we're all losers in this situation. You know what I mean? We really are.
What? So I'll help you out.
Yeah.
I'll walk through my we'll get to my real thoughts in a second, but I'll just walk through like the timeline for me because I was at the Daytona 500 with my father all week, and we were there basically at the track for every single day. I don't even remember what happened on Sunday, right?
Yes.
The game was on Sunday. So yeah, the Daytona 500 is going on. It just started. I'm getting spotty service at the track because you go to the sporting event with a lot of people, it jams the signals, all that stuff. And then all of a sudden a text comes through from you and it just says R.I.P. Juwan Howard. And I think it was praying hands emoji or something. Where you're like, praying for you, buddy, or I hope this works out. I was like,
I like the guy.
Yeah, and I like him. Yeah. So I get that. I'm like, what the hell is Tate talking about?
Yeah,
and I get online and I see, and I initially just saw the finger in the face, like the guard handshake, the elbow grab, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Juwan Howard kind of grabbed his shirt, put a finger in his face, and like, don't touch me.
Yeah.
I saw like that part of it because again,
The
like
first part.
the video's not loading fully, and it's I'm seeing the wheel spinning and to load and all that, and I was like that's pretty bad. Like that's pretty. Like he put his finger in his face. I'm sure we're gonna talk about it on the show. That seems pretty. Like. But I don't think that's, RIP worthy. That seems to be a bit of an exaggeration. And then, like, 10 minutes later, more texts start coming through from, like, other people that are like, oh, my God, Juwan Howard. And I'm like, are we talking about the same thing? So then I watched the video, and my initial reaction was he's getting fired. I'm not saying what I think should have happened. I'm telling you my initial reaction. Like, I was like, oh, my God, Tate's right. RIP Juwan Howard. He's going to be fired.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
This is absolutely crazy. And what I took what became interesting to me as the days, this is a full, what are we, over 48 hours now from, we are literally the last people to chime in on this. What became interesting to me as it started to unfold was just the not necessarily the downplaying, but just kind of the muddying of the waters of everything.
Yeah.
Where my initial reaction was like, we can discuss like how we got there and who was at fault and should Greg Gard have called timeout, just grabbed him on the whatever. But let's start at a point where the head basketball coach of the Michigan Wolverines throwing hands at an assistant coach.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That is actually insane. That does not happen all the time. This is not a regular occurrence. Do not point to like other events that have happened in college basketball history and like you see people like going back to like John Chaney saying, I'll kill you like, you're going all the way back to like these. This to me was like semi unprecedented. This was like blew my mind. Like this does not happen.
Yeah.
However we got here, this does not happen. So let's like start. That's why my mind immediately went to like, he's getting fired because this is not a normal occurrence.
Of course.
Even the thing that happened last year with Maryland and Mark Turgeon when, funny enough, I think the rumor, the Maryland people said he supposedly said, I'll kill you to Mark Turgeon as well. The John Chaney line. Even like that happened, it still had like a sense of, this is just jawing. There's just two dudes jawing at each other. The moment it gets like actually physical, that is to me unprecedented. Now we can start there and then discuss like who's at fault, how we got here, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But what was insane to me was that like we couldn't even start there. Like it felt like the conversation, and this is I guess an indictment of Twitter and like why you never go online when something happens. But I was like blown away at people like just shrugging it off. It's like, are we sure this is even that big of a deal?
Yeah.
I don't know. That like shocked me that people weren't shocked, I guess. That like, of course, you touch a guy, he's going to throw it. I'm like, the head coach of Michigan?
Yeah.
Punching a dude?
Well, and
slapping a dude or whatever.
Swiping, whatever you want to call it. I think that was that's why, when I saw it, I was watching the game and my dad was watching the game. And my dad is a coach, and my dad texted me, it's like, Juwan Howard is heated, so we're watching the end of this game. Guard calls a timeout. I see how heated he is. What Guard did calling that timeout is Bush League. You know what I mean? Like I'm watching this live. I understand the frustration. And when it happens live, like I literally, when I saw Juwan Howard, I was like, he's gonna just blow by him. You know, we've seen Jamie Dixon is the king of the blow by. Like when you've seen. Like I remember one time Roy Williams.
Tom Crean's a good blow by guy.
Good blow by guy.
Great blow
Roy
by guy.
stopped Jamie Dixon one time, and I thought Jamie Dixon was going to bite his head off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that is a classic coach.
Rick
move.
Barnes does the blow by to Roy too, right?
Yeah, a lot of blow by guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
top 5 blow by guy. Go.
It's a move. It's a move. Juwan was on the path of a blow by, and the rules of engagement. You mentioned John Chaney. What are the rules of engagement? You can say anything to me.
Yes.
You can call me anything in the book.
Yes.
And I can call, and vice versa. We can say anything.
Yes.
But as soon as somebody touches somebody,
Don't touch me, bro.
All bets are off.
Right.
And when Greg Gard grabs him,
but
Juwan Howard immediately went to school. This is like, grade yard behavior, right? This is, and what you just said is 100% correct. You can have that mentality, and I get it. It's like, you touch me, all bets are off. You put your hands on me, we're having a different conversation. But at the same time, you're a Michigan man.
Yes.
Quotes. You're a Michigan man. You're a leader of young men. Greg Gard, you're also a leader of young men. You like having your assistant coach run up and then a guy doing a suck it. You know what I mean? That's not leadership. You know what I mean? Like both of these guys are not doing what it's supposed to be, which is lead and set an example. And that was like the worst part about all of this. And then all of the aftermath, as you said, trying to push it aside because we like Juwan Howard. I like Juwan Howard too. I get it. We don't want to, have a guy that's such a great ambassador for college basketball have this on his record, da. But it also doesn't address the problem of the leadership void. Someone has to be the bigger man here.
Yeah.
In the press conference, the worst part to me was the press conference after the fact.
Dude.
To be honest with you.
Oh my God. Who let him up there?
That was not leadership.
Why would
That's not leadership.
God.
That's not leadership. And Greg Gard, that's not leadership.
And Juwan Howard's apology to all the Michigan people. No, he apologized to one person at Wisconsin, and it was Joel Krabenoff. He misspelled Joe Krabenoff's name.
But
that's tough.
At the end of the day, that guy, Krabenoff or whatever,
like,
you know how it works. Like, managers talk to managers. Everybody talks to everyone at their level. Strength guy talks to strength guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's punching up his weight, which I think that's why Juwan snapped, honestly, on him. Because he was he's already snapped. But then, like, there's someone who you're like, it was just like a lot of just moments that you're just like, wow, that's out of line. But then the reaction is you can't defend it.
You can't do that.
You cannot, like,
that's where I was.
Been in the right. But the action was so far from the right that now all of that is you throw it out.
That's exactly where I arrived with it. I was like, I will listen to any argument as to like how he got here and how he felt like the guard was aggressive. Which and for the guard part of it, I think if you had a chance to freeze time and everyone just freezes and you pull Greg Gard aside and you're like, hey, Greg, just FYI, you're about to shake hands with Juwan Howard. He's not like he's not like rolling his eye. When you called timeout, he wasn't just like, come on, man. All shucks. This man is pissed. This man is heated. He hates you. FYI. Okay, play. I don't think Greg Gard would touch him. I think Greg Gard thought he was walking into a situation where John was like, come on, bro. Like, what are we doing? And then Greg Gard's be like, listen, man. And like, I think that's how he saw it play out in his head was like, come on, bro. Yeah. Really what was playing out was like Juwan Howard was piping mad. But he was
already over the line.
Yes.
And then it's like all he needed, he lit the final match and boom.
But however you got there, you can't simply, you can't do that.
And
it's inexcusable.
If I was Juwan Howard, like if I was his team of people, I would have a conversation with him and say, you should get ahead of this. You should go back to the NBA. Because that administration, the academic side of Michigan,
great point.
They're gonna find something on him.
Great point.
And get rid of him. Which is unfortunate because I like Juwan Howard a lot, but I think that he needs to get ahead of it. That's all I'm saying.
I actually kind of agree with you because when something like this happens, your mind immediately goes to the sports part of it and what will the athletic director do?
He doesn't
care. The boosters think?
I don't care.
But Michigan is a place that prides itself as like a public Ivy level school. And
Yeah.
when you have this guy is one of
A
the
Michigan
faces,
man.
he's a Michigan man
Yeah.
alongside Jim Harbaugh. They have 2 Michigan men as their head coaches. And you represent something at a higher level. I don't think he's going to live this down. I really don't. And that might be the Buckeye in me talking that, like, I know Ohio State fans aren't going to let him live it down.
Yeah.
But I don't, how much that matters to Juwan Howard and the University of Michigan, that's their prerogative and they can decide. But I don't see a world, like, if Juwan Howard's coaching in Michigan in 10 years, he's going to come out, to an opposing crowd. He's going to play at North Carolina for the first time since this happened. And Carolina fans are going to just have signs up about him punching people or, slapping coaches.
Yeah.
Like, I really do think that this is going to follow him forever. I do think it's that severe. And the people that are listening to this or watching this and rolling your eyes and you're like, that's dramatic. Again, this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
A coach of that caliber at that level does not do this. This is insane. This is crazy. So,
And at the NBA level, at the pro level, they don't have handshake lines for this reason. Because if Isaiah Thomas, let's for example, the most famous walk-off, if Isaiah Thomas and Bill Laimbeer are walking by the Bulls bench, and let's say Bill Cartwright grabs Isaiah's hand, Isaiah would have literally choked him.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's an understanding of that, which I think you're right. Maybe Greg Gard didn't understand, like, in the heat of the battle.
Yes.
But that is why they don't have handshake lines at that level, and which is why I think that Juwan Howard might be more built for that, which I've always thought he was more of an NBA coach than a college coach anyway, and I think he would agree with that. So maybe this is sometimes you have the things happen to you in life, and you're like, I needed something to kind of kick me into this course.
Yeah.
Maybe this is that.
Take a long, hard look at the mirror. And I mean, for what it's worth, like, is there any evidence that why should anyone believe that, like, moving forward, Juwan Howard is going to get better and calm down more? Like, this wasn't an isolated incident either. So, again, whatever leads to these moments, even if Juwan Howard is in the right, for which I don't think he is in this case. I want to make that very clear, by the way. Juwan Howard is 100% in the wrong.
Yeah.
Greg Gard actually, I don't think really did much anything. But even if you're someone who sees it at that point of view, the fact that he finds himself in these positions at more often than anyone. There's not a coach of high major college basketball that was slapping an opposing assistant coach. I'm kind of with you. Like, if I'm Juwan Howard, I'm like, why this system, whatever this is?
Yeah.
I don't know if I like it. I don't know if this is for me.
I don't know if I'm built for this. That you have to carry a certain. As Tom Izzo, you saw him talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, when you're supposed to be the grown up in the room at all times, and that's not always the case in a professional environment, right? I mean, sometimes the coach goes a little crazy.
That's the state of college sports today, is that we can't fully define what it is. Is it amateur sports? Is it professional sports? Is it somewhere in between? There are people that believe, especially old school dudes like Tom Izzo, are this is an amateur enterprise, and the whole purpose of this, the whole reason we're playing basketball,
is
to teach these kids, which sounds hacky, and I understand. Like, we make fun of Cal for calling him his kid, but like that's what these guys believe, is like, this is why you're here. Then there's the new wave of coaches that are like, to hell with all that old model. We all know that's garbage. The name, image, likeness exists now. These kids are trying to get to the league. This is a professional setting. These are not kids. They're all 18 and older. Why are we calling them kids? They're professionals. Let's act like let's treat this like the NBA. And as long as there's that divide, I think you do see different things. And when you see something like this, you see guys like me who are more wired to be old school. Surprise, surprise to anybody that's listened to the show. I do long for, like, a coach that's like, my purpose here is to, like, mold the young men and be the leader and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Other people see it differently. And I think as long as that's the case in college sports, we're always going to have, like, debates when stuff like this happens, which that was the thing that stood out to me, was like, we couldn't even define what it was. Like, it felt like the discussion around it was,
which is leadership.
It's crazy.
There's no leadership in college sports. There's no person that takes any accountability. Everything is somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that is the I don't know where that comes from, but eventually someone has to take ownership and say, hey, I screwed up, you screw up, we all screw up. But at the end of the day, we have to set a good example, because that is the point. These are young people
that
are impressionable.
Which is
when you
why
act a certain way, they follow the behavior. Like, it's a real responsibility.
Again, not going to surprise anybody. I am
Yeah.
firmly on the pro handshake line train, by the way, and I don't.
Yeah.
That's insane to me too. Is that
I think college sports should have a handshake line. I think pro sports shouldn't. I mean, it's
I
the
don't-
difference between the two.
I don't. I didn't understand how we have a system that has worked forever.
Yeah.
And Juwan Howard is there was a dust up with Michigan at Rutgers, when they lost to Rutgers for the first time ever. The system has worked, and now for whatever reason, again, I'm not saying I'm not pretending that there aren't other factors, but like for whatever reason, this keeps happening or it's happened more than once with Michigan. Why then do we destroy the entire system?
Yeah.
And why do we say the system's the problem and not like?
Because again, no one wants to take ownership of the blame. Yeah.
Can I make the case for Greg Gard not being in the wrong at all, by the way?
Sure.
I want to do this because this leads to like the real point I want to make, which is that this all goes towards the Wisconsin walk-ons being thrown to the wolves. And I felt very passionate about this, that I was getting like PTSD watching the walk-ons being pressed by Michigan. I was like,
that was a little ridiculous.
So guard basically calls 2 timeouts in the final minute. One of them was a substitution timeout. So what I wanted, this is the exercise I want to do now. I was watching I've watched the last like 2 minutes trying to find the part that stood out to me as like, well, you can't do that. And I kept waiting for the part that Greg Gard did something where I was like, oh, come on, dude, you can't do that. And even the timeout wasn't bad because I'm going to explain why. He calls the first timeout because he just does the substitution thing, which is totally normal. He goes like this. There's like an actual hand signal, and the refs start doing it too. They sub out all the starters. That one wasn't even really a timeout. No one congregates, whatever. And then so the walk-ons come in the game. Juwan Howard starts pressing. The one moment when there's 15 seconds left is like the one that everyone latched onto. But the first moment, the very first action that it wasn't all walk-ons. I think there's like 3 walk-ons and 2 guys that are just into the bench dudes. The first action was one of the walk-ons gets the ball across the half court line, and you look at the clock. There's a 2-second differential, and in some worlds that very easily Greg Gard could have told his guys, let the shot clock go off. There'll be 2 seconds left. Let Michigan throw it in. That's game over. That's what it is. Other coaches are like, if there's enough time on the shot clock, get the shot up, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, the terms were dictated. One of the walk-ons tries to throw it past the other walk-on. Michigan's starting point guard, Devontae Jones, intercepts it, goes in and lays it in. And at that point, to me, if I'm a walk-on, this has happened to me before when I would come into games with a minute left and guys are going, you have starters like busting their ass against you. You're like, come on, bro. So like that was one thing that stood out, but I was like, whatever, it's an isolated incident. Then he makes the basket and they're pressing. And
which Juwan said wasn't a press, but it was definitely a press.
100% a press.
Yeah.
They're trapping. The dude Carter Higginbottom, the walk-on point guard for Wisconsin, is now in a position. This man has played in 2 games since December 4th, Tate, for a grand total of 1 minute. How is that possible? Because he had a 0+ trillion.
Yeah.
Then another game he played in 1 minute. He's gotten like very, very little action. He's thrown into a situation where Michigan's starting point guard is now pressing him with 15 seconds left. He loses his shoe. The ball goes out of bounds. There's 4 seconds left. And I think what Greg Gard, I can let him speak for himself, but like what I was thinking as I was watching this is, of course you call timeout because your walk-ons are shitting their pants. Like these dudes don't get in the game ever. The other dude, Justin Taphorn, who was the guy who threw the first pass away.
Yeah.
He hadn't played in the game since Marquette on December 4th. He has not played in any game. 0 game. Got no action until that game. Now all of a sudden he's got starters pressing him. So I think Greg Gard was like, all right, I got these group of guys that have never practiced a press break because why would we practice a press break?
Mm-hmm.
They have 4 seconds to get the ball across the line. I don't want them to just, I don't want their only action to be turning it over every time they touch the ball and getting owned and getting roasted, That's how I saw it. And I was like, I commend that because I had flashbacks to the 2008 NIT. We were playing Dayton. I get in the game in the final minute. I catch the ball in the backcourt, and Dayton is pressing. And I was like, I am getting rid of this shit immediately. It was the same situation. We're up like 15. I was like, what are we doing pressing? And I would have loved it if Coach Mata called timeout. I would have gone to timeout, and I would have been like, thank God you did that because I want no part of this.
Yeah,
this is a nightmare situation.
Juwan was very frustrated from what had happened in the game. You know what I mean? Which is like the definition of being a bad sport.
Yeah, and when Gard called the timeout too, I noticed like Gard wasn't even It wasn't like he was retaliating to Juwan pressing. It wasn't in like, oh, you're gonna press? Well, suck on this, bitch. I'm gonna call time. He was just like, I'm gonna call timeout because my walk-ons are in over their head, and I want to help them out a little bit.
Yeah, and that's just how
don't know.
Juwan took it. Yeah, I mean,
And Juwan took it that way, and then it exploded. So anyway, that was my perspective, and I have, as is the case with literally everything in this world, everyone has a different point of view. But that's I kept watching it. I was like, I don't know, man. I don't really see anything that Greg Gard did wrong until the elbow grab, and even then, again, I would work off the assumption that Greg Gard thought Juwan was just kind of annoyed and not like piping hot mad.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would have suspected that it would escalate that quickly. In fact, I mean, even on the broadcast, they were trying to cut away to the golf tournament.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then
that was hilarious.
They were like, whoa.
That was hilarious.
Whoa, wait a second.
Whoa. They say melee in Madison?
I think
is that a Jim Cunningham special?
I think that Jim, someone had a sign that said melee in Madison.
The other thing I thought after the dust settled, I thought, man, Silvio De Sousa. Sucks.
Poor guy, man. Picked up a chair
and set it down and got 12-game suspension.
Yeah.
Juwan Howard
swipes.
Threw some swipes. 5 games.
We got to figure out what to call it because it really is. It was like a face. I don't even know. It was like a smother. It was a smothering.
To that point of we can't even define what it is. I saw a clip of JJ Redick was talking about Zion. So like he was in the news, I guess, today, whatever you want to call it. So I click on something and it leads to a different clip of him and Stephen A talking about the incident. The melee in Madison. And Stephen A was like, I'm paraphrasing obviously, but he was like, let's start with, he goes, whether it was a punch, a slap, whatever you want to call it, we'll just say this because I think we can agree on this. It was a swing. Like he took a swing at a coach, and then JJ was like, "Was it a swing?" And I just started cackling. I was like, "That's where we're at with like everything."
Yeah, everything's debatable.
Are we even sure it was Juwan Howard?
Yeah.
Did he even touch? Yeah,
it was a strike.
That was so funny to me. But thoughts and prayers to Silvio De Sousa. And,
also, thoughts and prayers to the Brotherhood because JJ.
I know.
I mean, I could never imagine a Carolina guy going on national TV and calling out another Carolina player. But that's the difference between the Brotherhood and the family.
Carolina way.
No, the family.
The family, what we call them.
That's what Dean Smith.
Thoughts and prayers to I feel I feel bad for too is like the real Michigan men, the guy the Michigan when Urban Meyer was the coach at Ohio State and it was becoming increasingly clear that he wasn't the greatest human being.
Yeah.
And Ohio State was winning a lot of football games. I remember like just the internal struggle of like, this is cool that we're winning, but like the part of me that graduated from this university and has a ton of pride in this university.
Yeah.
God, I do not love that every time I meet someone on a street or I'm traveling somewhere, like, they find out I went to Ohio State and they're like, oh yeah, Urban Meyer. Yeah, you're the school that does, it sucks. Yeah, you're the dirtbag school. So
like, no, that's Arizona.
I mean that genuinely. I live that with Urban Meyer. We lived that with the tattoo gate. Like I don't know. There's a lot of incidents with Ohio State. It sucks. You lived it with
I've lived
the academic scandal.
I've lived it.
I really do feel bad for the alums that are like, man, because I'm sure there are a lot of Michigan alums that are like, I don't want this man coaching our team anymore.
That's what I was saying. He's got to get out of there.
I don't think he should be fired. That's not my decision to make. Because the other point I'll say, and we can shut up and get to athletics. Nobody actually cares. The false equivalencies of like, if I did this at my job, I would be fired immediately. And if any other coach, none of that matters. It doesn't matter what would happen at your job. It doesn't matter if LeBron did this in a game, if he would be cut from the team or so. What matters is what Michigan wants to do with Juwan Howard. That's their decision. Like all of us, I guess you can kind of like think like if my coach did this, here's what I would want to have happen. But I don't think there is like a standard template for like how this should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't think that's how it works. There's a lot of external factors. Like it's stupid, but he went to the Elite Eight last year and he's still like early in his tenure at Michigan. That mattered.
Yeah.
If he'd been at Michigan for 12 years and, missed the tournament more often than he made it, he's probably fired. But he hasn't. And like
has a number one recruiting class.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. And the political part of it of like he's a former player of the most famous team they've ever had. And like if you fire him, what does that mean for the fallout of like there's a lot that goes into it. And that's Michigan's decision to make. And I'm sure there are some people that are like, I wish he wasn't our coach anymore, and those people I feel bad because that's a fight you're just not going to win. I guess.
Yeah, you're not going to win.
You're not going to win it, and
Yeah.
that's an awful position to be in. To be like, I expect more out of our guy, but I can't say that because all of the Michigan fans in my cert, if
Yeah.
you're like the one Michigan fan of the dissenting opinion, all your Michigan bros are texting you, and you're like, we got to defend our guy, and you're like, I don't know, man, do we?
Yeah.
That sucks to be that guy in the group.
It was the one time I felt good about Hubert Davis thanking John Calipari for kicking his ass. Hey there, thanks for watching Titus and Tate. For the full friend of the program experience, subscribe right below and come join us for all things college basketball. The action is heating up. Come join Titus and Tate.